Jerome Wilson, a successful and powerful black CEO, entered his own hotel unnoticed. This was not just an ordinary visit from a customer, but a quiet investigation into complaints about how staff were treating guests. This was the hotel he had built from the ground up, creating a strong empire in the hospitality industry, known for its five-star service and luxurious experiences. But today, Jerome was not dressed in a sharp suit or arriving in a limousine as usual. He came in quietly, simply as a guest wanting to experience his own hotel's service. What he witnessed at the front desk left him stunned. It was not perfect service, but a scene he never expected: indifference, disrespect, and even discrimination against customers, right at his own hotel. Other guests had sent numerous complaints about the disrespectful and cold attitudes of the staff. They were treated like second-class citizens and denied services without any legitimate reason. Today, Jerome decided not to just receive the reports, but to face the issue himself. Little did he know, this visit would lead him down a surprising path where the dark secrets of his hotel's operations would soon be exposed. When Jerome approached the front desk, he did not act like the hotel owner, but simply as a regular guest, wearing casual clothes and alone. However, as soon as he stood there, the receptionist, Kim, seemed to ignore him, her eyes only glancing at her phone without looking up. Jerome patiently waited, the sound of her phone's notifications breaking the silence in the air. He gently cleared his throat, trying to get her attention, but Kim merely sighed, as if he was an inconvenience. She didn't even look up, continuing to do whatever she was doing. Jerome didn't let his emotions take over. He kept his voice calm, but his eyes began to show determination. "I have a reservation," he said in a short sentence, but Kim made no change in her attitude. Kim shrugged, glanced up, and turned back to her computer as if she had decided that he wasn't a customer worth paying attention to. "I don't see your reservation," she replied indifferently. Jerome stayed silent, simply taking out his phone and showing her the booking confirmation email. But instead of reviewing it, Kim just glanced at it carelessly and went back to her personal business. At this point, Jerome knew this wasn't a system glitch or a mistake. This was clear discrimination, an attitude of disrespect that he felt instantly. Jerome could no longer remain silent. He knew what was happening and decided not to let Kim dismiss him any longer. He looked her in the eye and requested, "Check again." Kim sighed, as if he were bothering her for no reason, then turned back to the computer, but without changing her attitude. "Nothing," she repeated, but this time her voice was even more indifferent. Jerome did not leave. He looked at her screen and noticed that she hadn't even tried to properly search for his reservation. At this point, Jerome knew this wasn't a system error. This was deliberate. The contempt made him strongly feel that Kim had judged him based on his appearance and decided he didn't deserve respect. He pulled out his phone again, opened the reservation confirmation, and showed it to her. "Here, I have it," he said, but Kim only glanced at it briefly and returned to scrolling on her phone, showing no interest. Jerome felt his patience running out. He had faced much more difficult situations before, but this time, the disrespect couldn't be ignored. He knew this wasn't just a small issue, but a bigger problem within his hotel. It was time to solve it once and for all, and he was ready to do whatever it took to make things right. Jerome didn't waste any time making a decision. He took another phone, the one he used to access the hotel's internal system, and began to carefully check the information. He had seen enough. After confirming his reservation again, he delved deeper into the system and discovered something shocking. Kim had not only ignored his request, but had also deliberately deleted his reservation from the system. And this action was clearly traceable in the activity log. Her name appeared right next to the deletion action. Jerome stared at the screen, unable to believe what he was seeing. He emphasized, "Kim, why did you do this? Why did you delete my reservation?" For the first time during their conversation, Kim seemed confused. Her face turned pale, her previous confidence completely disappeared, replaced by nervousness and panic. But Jerome didn't let her off the hook. He calmly turned the screen towards her so she could see the clear evidence on his phone. "You know what you just did," he said, his voice calm but sharp. Kim tried to avoid answering, but Jerome wouldn't let her off the hook. He had seen enough and knew this couldn't be overlooked. This wasn't just a small mistake, it was a deliberate action, and it had to be dealt with. Deep down, Jerome didn't feel regret or hesitation. He was ready to face the truth and ensure this issue would be resolved thoroughly. Jerome didn't want to stop at just confronting Kim. He knew that such a small action couldn't just end with firing one employee. The bigger issue was with the hotel's management and the lack of responsibility from the higher-ups. He couldn't let someone like Kim continue to tarnish the reputation and integrity of the hotel he had built his whole life. So he decided to take this matter to the very top. He walked straight to the office of the hotel manager, Stephen Lane, whom he knew was a weak leader, unable to handle serious internal issues like this. Without knocking, Jerome walked in and immediately saw the fear on Stephen's face. "We need to talk," Jerome said in a low, cold tone. Stephen stammered, trying to say something, but only received a cold stare from Jerome. He didn't have time for useless explanations. "Kim just deleted my reservation, and I've seen everything in the system. She didn't just make a mistake, she acted with intent. I need to know why she's still working here," Jerome continued, each word sharp. Stephen tried to explain, but Jerome wouldn't let him continue. "Stephen, do you know how many complaints there have been about Kim? What have you done to fix it? You've done nothing, right?" Jerome emphasized every word without an ounce of mercy. With a firm attitude, Jerome demanded that Stephen fire Kim immediately, giving her no chance to justify her actions. "Do it in front of everyone. Let them see real change," Jerome said, without hesitation. Stephen, now completely cornered, could only nod. "And then," Jerome continued, "you won't just fire Kim. You'll be leaving too." Jerome didn't compromise, and he had decided that the change had to come from the top. The whole hotel fell into silence as everything began to change. Jerome, with a satisfied smile, walked out of the office, knowing he had done the right thing. He had not only solved the small problem, but also regained his authority, ensuring that justice would always prevail.